A very warm welcome to all of you for joining us for this session. Basically, this is our first session for our corporate reporting exam. That is basically our corporate reporting exam of ICAEW. This is basically our first session. Previously, we had our orientation about ICAEW advanced level, and in previous session, we also discussed about the syllabus of our corporate reporting exam. If you people have attended those sessions, that's good. If you people have not attended, then you can send me your email and my team would be sharing the recorded link with you people as well. So let's have a brief overlook about corporate reporting exam. This was basically the orientation that was held. So that was approximately 1 hour session. So definitely we cannot repeat for 1 hour. So we will be having just a quick overview about ICAW advanced level, particularly corporate reporting exam. So for complete lecture, you can go for the recording and then we can discuss it. Before starting for our ICAW advanced level, let me introduce myself. I am Noman Liaquat, ICAW member, ACCA member, and PIFA member as well. I have more than 7 years of teaching experience and more than 5 years of industry experience as well. I am teaching at different online forums, approved learning partner as well. And I am also a university lecturer, Oxford Books mentor, and I also hold finance professional certification from UK. That's brief introduction from myself. And I can see from the chat box that there are some students who have passed some advanced level exams with us, and there are some new faces as well. So I welcome all of you. So we discussed about all of these areas in our detailed orientation. So I will just skip it up so you can go for recording, and we will just focusing on some of the important points as well. Students, due to a great success from last many years, so what we have done basically from this year, we have introduced no pass, no fee model. So what is no pass, no fee model? No pass, no fee model is basically like you people are here and you people are studying with us. Definitely you will pay out your dues. So you will study, and if you will follow the terms and conditions, and if you meet out, definitely you are going to pass, inshallah. And if unfortunately if someone is not passed, then definitely if you are in pass assurance, so next attempt you are going to study free of cost. You do not need to pay a single penny. Normally if we talk about different tuition providers, and if unfortunately you are failed, so in next attempt you have to pay out again the dues as well. But we have introduced no pass no fee model. So if you study and meet out our conditions, definitely you are going to study free of cost if unfortunately you are failed. But definitely we have some terms and conditions for our no pass no fee model. So let me tell you how we are going to study, and then we will talk about the ICAW corporate reporting exam. Basically, there are some reasons why students are going to fail. They normally fail because they don't cover out the whole syllabus, time management techniques, and one of the most important thing is basically the red box that you can see. Like they are much overconfident. For example, if you are from ACCA or from any other background, or if you have passed out your professional level exam, then normally students think like they can go for the advanced level exam as well. No, it's not like that. Advanced level exams are bit technical. They are the integrated exams. And in those exams, there will be corporate reporting, audit and assurance, ethics, and there will be other subjects in our strategic business management as well. So you have to be very, very careful with your exam techniques, with your study plan, with your technical knowledge, with your writing skills, with your exam software as well. And before we start in detail, let me tell you as well, like from July 2021, ICAEW is introducing new exam software for corporate reporting as well. So in our session, we will also be having practice of those new exam software as well. So don't worry about it. So how we are going to study our these sessions basically. So we will be covering our syllabus. The very first thing that you should do with our session is basically you should download your syllabus basically. and you can download your syllabus from ICAEW website. You can go to ICAEW website, and in advanced level section, you can download your syllabus for corporate reporting, SBM, case study, whatever exam you are going to study with us. So what we will be doing, we will be using those syllabus as a benchmark, because we have to cover those syllabus and our exam will be from that syllabus as well. Apart from this, I will be sharing my notes as well, and my notes would be IAS and IFRS as well. Because if we look at the study material of ICAEW, then approximately it is 1600 plus pages. So sometimes it's quite difficult for students to remember, to recall, and to revise those 1600 pages. So what we have done basically, so we have developed our notes basically, and these are smart notes, and these notes are complete notes and short notes, and these are going to cover your entire ICAEW syllabus for corporate reporting, SBM, and case study, whatever exam you are going to study with us basically. So what I will be doing, I will be sharing those notes of IAS and IFRS. Apart from this, I will be sharing 2021 latest study material question bank with all of you as well. Apart from this, we will be having some class-based assignments and some home-based assignments as well. For example, we are studying IFRS 2. Let's take an example. We are studying IFRS 2 in this class for today. Let's take an example. So we will be having some examples here. I will be solving some questions, and some questions will be solved by the you people as well. So there is going to be interactive session, and I believe that interactive sessions are much more useful as compared to just like tutor is listening, tutor is speaking. So instead there should be a discussion session as well. So there would be class assignments and some home-based assignments as well. Apart from this, we will be having practice sessions as well. Like we are done with some major topics. So what we are going to do, so we are going to have our regular test as well. There would be regular tests as well. And then we will be having question bank and our past paper perspective. Sometimes students say like, do we have to use question bank or we have to use the past paper? I say the answer is simply both. And we are going to use both of them in our class, in our sessions as well. Once we are done with our syllabus, so we are going to hold our revision classes, and in our revision classes we are going to revise our technical areas, and if there is a problem for any student, then we can revise that topic as well. And further, in revision classes we are going to hold our practice sessions as well. And finally, there would be exam tips and technique, and those exam tips and techniques would not be at the end of our syllabus. These exam tips and techniques would be along with you while we are studying, even just like a single topic as well. So that is our complete methodology, how we are going to study and how we will study as well. And as I already mentioned, that we are also going to have our practice for new exam software as well. That is new exam software for corporate reporting as well. So there will be separate practice sessions, separate notes, separate guidance, separate videos for new exam software that will be implemented from July 2021 for your corporate reporting exam. So don't worry about new exam software as well. So let's have a brief look on our corporate reporting syllabus, because in this session we are going to talk about only for corporate reporting. So for corporate reporting, we have three major areas. First of all, it is IAS and IFRS. Approximately it is 55 to 65% of your syllabus basically. Second, it is followed by audit and assurance, that is approximately 30 to 40%. And lastly, a minor amount of ethics, that is 5 to 10%. Normally students say like if it is 5 to 10% and we can cover approximately 90 to 95% from first two areas. So sometimes they may leave out the ethics. No, it is very, very important to have a good grip and having a good skills on ethics as well. Because if you are very good in your accounting, reporting, audit, but if you are not good at your ethics as well, that will not be good. It means you are not a good person for your society. So you have to be very, very good, because when you study ethics, then ethics is basically what is right, what is wrong, how we have to behave in society, what is my CSR, corporate social responsibility, what is sustainability, what is integrity, objectivity. So we learn different ethical principles here as well. So we have to be very, very good in our ethics as well, because they directly impact our family and impact our society at large as well. If you look at the exam structure of our corporate reporting exam, then there are basically 3 exam questions in our corporate reporting basically. First of all, question 1 will be 40 marks, and it will include accounting and reporting question as well. Question 2, that will be 30 marks approximately, and there would be reporting and audit area as well. And in question 3, that will be reporting and audit as well. And there might be ethics as well. I have noted like ethics are in every question. So examiner might ethics in one question or in 2 questions, or might be a small portion of ethics in all areas as well, in all questions, or they might be tested in a single question as well. So it's entirely up to the examiner how he sets the exam paper. But that's for sure, you are going to have at least 5 to 10 marks for your ethics in your exam as well. And your corporate reporting exam would be approximately 3.5, not approximately, that for sure, that you would be having 3.5 hours exam for your corporate reporting, because normally in ACCA we have 3 hours 15 minutes, and in professional level exam sometime we have 2.5 hours, sometime we have 3 hours time, but in advanced level we have 3.5 hours for corporate reporting, and again 3.5 hours for our SPM exam as well. But for case study, that is a 4-hour exam. That is a separate thing that we will discuss in our case study class. So that is basically our exam structure of our corporate reporting as well. So I think we have just discussed what is corporate reporting and what is the syllabus. For you can see another video, and that is basically the exam structure for our corporate reporting as well. Let me take you to another screen as well. So what we will be doing basically, as I said that, like I will be sharing the, I hope you can see my next video. Yes, it is. So that is basically the latest study material that is going to be used in 2021 basically. So I would be sharing that study material with all of you, that is of 2021 basically. And it also has the question bank that is going to be used for our 2021 exams as well for ICAEW. And apart from this, I will be sharing my own notes. You can see on your screen that there is an intangible assets IS38. So these are my notes as well. And I am just sharing as a part of sample. So I will be sharing all of notes of IAS and IFRS basically with all of you people as well. So we will be using that study material for our classes as well, and for our discussion, and for our all of our sessions of corporate reporting, SBM, and our case study exams as well, basically. So that was just a brief introduction about myself, about corporate reporting exam, like what areas do we need to study, accounting and reporting, auditing, and ethics, basically. Sometimes there is a question from students, basically, like normally they say, like we passed out our exams like many years ago, or they do not recall, they do not remember about the basics. For example, if we just talk about basics, like it could be IAS 2, IAS 16, IAS 36, 37, 38, 40, and so on, basically. And there are some advanced level standards as well. Like you can talk about IAS 21 that basically deals with the foreign currency. There is going to be IFRS 3, IFRS 7, IFRS 9, IFRS 15, IFRS 16, and many other standards as well. So there is a long list of some basic standards and some advanced level standards as well. So students ask basically how we will study. Either we will cover the basics or we will cover the advanced level. My answer is that we will study both. We will study basics standards and we will also study our advanced level content as well. So we will start from IAS2, that is basically inventories. So our first session would be on IAS2 inventories basically. So we will be starting from inventories, then we will move on to IA 16, 36, 37, 38, 40, and so on. Whenever we will be having a session, I will announce in our previous session that what topics we are going to study in our next class as well. So you people will be ready, and then we will be studying those topics and as well. So how this session will move forward as well. Previously, we were having only sessions that were live online. But from this year, what we have done basically, it would be live online plus recorded session as well. So if you miss out any class, any session due to any reason, don't worry about it. We can share the recording as well. Just email us or inform us. So we are going to share the recording of that session as well. But definitely it is always preferable to join the live session. Even if you are unable, then we can go for the recording. And after watching the recording, if you have any question, definitely we will be having our question and answer session as well. So we are going to study our corporate reporting in this way. We will be covering the basics first, and then we will be moving on to our advanced level standards as well. And when we go for these topics, definitely we are going to use our question bank. We are going to use our past papers as I discussed a few minutes ago, basically. So that was all from my side, a brief introduction about corporate reporting and how we are going to study. I hope you have liked this thing basically. So now I think we should have a brief introduction about you people as well, because it will give me an idea like how, what is your background qualification and what exams you are pursuing in your July 2021 exam as well. So I would request all of you to have a brief introduction about yourself so we can discuss and we will start our session for today as well. So please brief introduction, just like your name, your name, your background qualification, which exams in you are going to appear in July 2021, basically. Please, and we can start. And that introduction is not going to be recorded, so I'm going to pause the recording as well because it's something different, so it is not going to be recorded. Okay, thank you all of you for your brief introduction. Now we are going to have our class activity, and one thing that's for sure is basically that before we start our class activity, like this class activity is just for an example, like about the basics as well. This class activity is not to appreciate or not to depreciate anyone's basically. So I am going to share the class activity. You people having approximately 35 minutes time, and just try to uh, record and just try to recognize this class activity basically. This is just a very simple example, and you people just try to solve this example, and then we will discuss this example, and then I will tell you how we are going to start and what we are going to study in our next class basically. This example is just for simplification purposes, just to know about the basics, because it will give me an idea like how we have to start. No doubt we are going to start from IAS2, but definitely that thing would be in my mind, like about my students. So how we have to start and from how much basics do we need it basically. I hope you people can see my screen of class activity, see our class 1 activity.
Yes, I can see.
Okay. Please, students, start this activity, and you have approximately 30 to 35 minutes time. And then after 35 minutes, we are going to discuss this activity, and then I will tell you what topic we are going to study and how we will study it basically. It's approximately 2:37 at my class, and we can discuss at after 35 minutes basically. Thank you. I am going to mute my mic, and I will see you after 35 minutes basically. So please stay tuned. And if you remember those rules, those areas, that's fine. If you don't remember, then don't worry at all. We are going to discuss in our class. So now it's up to you, and we will see after 35 minutes. Have a good day. Thank you. Stay tuned, and we are going to solve in our live class. So it's not an home assignment, it's a class assignment as well. So solve this in class, and then we will discuss. Thank you. I hope you people have solved these two examples, and I think we can start the discussion. Have you people completed those examples? Zubair, Binish, Irfan, and rest of the people, have you completed those examples? Okay, good, Shazad. Thank you. Some people have texted, they have completed the example. That's good. Anyone who is going to like discuss this example live session in our live session? The entire purpose of activity is just to know about the very basics. Otherwise, I can simply solve this example in just few minutes. Okay, let's start our discussion. Let me explain it. So the requirement is how to recognize this transaction into a financial statements basically. An entity purchased an asset on 1st 2019 for $100,000. Useful life of asset is 5 years. Let me highlight this. On 30th June 2019, asset value is 80,000, but on 31st December 2019, asset value is 95,000. So there are three different dates. First of all, 01/01/2019. Asset cost is 100,000. That is $100,000 basically. And useful life, as you people can see, that is basically 5 years. So it means roughly if I calculate the depreciation, so depreciation would be 100,000 divided by 5. So it comes around $20,000 per year basically. But as you can see on 30th June 2019, so my year started on 1st 2019 and it will be completed on 31st of December. But there is a date of 30th June 2019. So it's in between my reporting period. The asset value is 80,000 on 30th June 2019. Value is 80,000. If I calculate the carrying value, then it should be on 30th June, it is 80,000, but it should be 100,000. That is cost minus depreciation. Remember, this is a depreciation for a whole year, but on 30th June, it means 6 months have been passed out. So I can deduct 10,000. So my carrying value would be 90,000. So my carrying value should be 90,000, but it is 80,000. So what has happened basically? So it means if I compare 90,000 and 80,000 basically. So it means there is a reduction in value of an asset. If there is a reduction, how much? So I can simply say then asset would be credited by 10,000 and there would be impairment loss. That would be debited by 10,000 basically. So that is going to be our double entry on 30th June 2019 basically. That was a treatment. And if we solve it for 31st of December basically, 31st of December, So asset value is basically 95,000, I think. Yes, 95,000. Actually, it should be. So our total value is basically 100,000 cost and deducting the depreciation of 20,000. So it comes out to be 80,000 basically, but it is 95,000. It is 95,000. So it means our asset value has been increased basically. Earlier our value was 80,000, sorry, and then it went up to 95,000. So we can recognize again. So we can simply recognize again here as well. That should be the treatment, like we have to recognize again basically. That was a treatment simply that we have to perform and that we have to follow it basically. And again, the second example was just like the same example, but what was the story? If we simply say, then again the depreciation charge is 20,000 per year. So on 30th June 90, asset value is 120,000. Again, on that date, our carrying value would be 80,000. And from 80,000 to it is 120,000 basically. So it means asset value has been increased by 40,000. So what we are going to do, we are going to record debiting the asset by 40,000 and crediting the revaluation gain, revaluation reserves by 40,000 basically. So that is going to be our entry on 30th June 2019. But if you look at further that on 31st December 2019, what will happen if asset value is 110,000? That is case one. And in case two, asset value is 80,000. So our value is 120,000 basically. But from 122, if it dropped to 110,000, so what will happen? And if it dropped from 120 to 80,000, then what will happen? So if we see from 120 to 110 basically, then simply we can say that our asset value has been decreased by 10,000. So asset would be credited by 10,000, but now the story is basically what would be the debited. Normally students say like impairment loss would be debited because there is a reduction in value. No, you should not reduce, you should not charge impairment to profit and loss. Why? The reason is that basically because we already have revaluation reserves of 40,000. So what you should do, you should reduce this revaluation reserve 10,000. So now you can say earlier I was having a balance of 40,000. Now I have reduced revaluation reserves of 10,000. So there would be net revaluation reserves of 30,000 basically. That was my case one. If I go for case two, then value has been reduced from 120 to 80. Again, the asset value has been reduced by 40,000. That is 40,000. But what would be debited? Again, the question would be same. Like I have to reduce the revaluation reserve by 40,000. So in case two, there will be no revaluation reserves balance because earlier there was a gain of 40,000, but now there is a loss of 40,000 basically. There is a loss of 40,000 basically. So that is going to be that what we assumed it and that we have basically. For simplification, we just assume that we are moving from 80,000 to 120. If we solve it out on our actual basis, basically on our actual basis, then we will move from 90,000 to 120,000. So that will be 30,000. Why I use the figure of 80,000? Just because of simplification purpose, because in case three, I will discuss another complexity basically. For example, what if our value is 120 to 70,000? So what will happen basically if it is from 120 to 70,000 basically? So if it is from 120 to 70,000, then it means there is a reduction in value of 50,000. But we have a revaluation reserves of 40,000. So what we are going to do? So our asset would be credited by 50,000. Our revaluation reserves would be debited by 40,000, and our impairment loss would be recognized by 10,000 basically. So that is going to be entry that we are going to record in our financial statements basically. So that would be our entry that we are going to record in our financial statements basically. So these were the three different situations, three different scenarios that we just discussed basically. And again, I already told you why I use the figure of 80,000, just because to match these figures. Like again, there is a gain of 40,000. So I want to show that there is a loss of 40,000 as well. So just because I use the figure of 80,000, otherwise we will use 90,000. So there is a 30,000, and then we will adjust it according to 30,000 basically. And in case three, I use a figure of 70,000 basically. Now we have a loss of 50,000, but we have a revaluation reserve of 40,000 basically. So revaluation reserve of 40,000, and remaining 10,000 loss would be charged to our impairment loss. That is going to be our profit and loss statement basically. So these were the simple example just because of our simplification purposes for our basics. Thank you all for your contribution, and that was all from our today's side. So our next class would be in coming week, and what we are going to do basically, I will share the recordings. I will share the recordings for IAS 2 and IAS 16. I will share the recordings of IAS 2, that is basically inventories, and IAS 16, that is basically property, plant, and equipment. And we are going to discuss inventories and property, plant, and equipment in our coming class. Before our class, I will share the recordings. So if you people are interested, definitely you can share your email, and then I will share the recordings and notes with all of you who are going to study with our course as well. This was all from my side. Because why recordings? Because again, as I mentioned, you can watch the recordings anytime. For basics, I will share the recordings, and we will be having our discussion sessions as well. And again, same thing for technical areas, we will share recordings, and we will be working on live sessions as well. So recordings and live sessions as well. And you people also please prepare for these two standards, because we will be having a detailed discussion session of approximately 1.5 hours. Regarding class timing and class lectures, that would be shared with people who are going to join us basically. Thank you all for joining us. Now, if you have any question, any point that you need to discuss, that you want to add up, you are most likely to discuss with us. I would highly appreciate your feedback. Anyone who has some point need to discuss or share some suggestions, definitely that would be really appreciated. Please do so. Otherwise, we will close, and we are going to have our strategic business management SPM discussion at after 20 to 25 minutes. That is 3:45. And regarding like previous sessions, and if anyone who has missed out this session, or anyone who has missed out our first orientation, or if you missed out our syllabus analysis, like what is in our corporate reporting syllabus, that was our previous class. I will share the recordings as I promised. Just share your email, and we will share it with you. Sure, I will share it. Anyone who has some question, some point, otherwise I will close, and we will resume at 3:45. That is approximately after 25 minutes for our strategic business management SPM discussion. Thank you all. And now we can close and